here today, and I am excited for this interview. I am interviewing my friend and also my personal business coach, Mr. Jason Stein. So I will first introduce myself for those who don't know me. I'm Chris Goddin, owner of Balanced Wellness, Acupuncture, and Herbal Medicine here in Austin, Texas. And as I mentioned, we have Jason Stein on today. He is a business coach, but he has a specific group of people that he coaches that I fall into, holistic health practitioners. And I will let you introduce anything else about yourself that you'd like, unless I just hit everything that you want to say about yourself.
Oh, okay. I am Jason Stein. Chris, I appreciate you having me here today. And I have a pretty eclectic background. Started my education in psychology, and I was on my way to get a PhD in industrial organizational psychology because I love business and organizations and the way that they think and work. And I took a left-hand turn literally in Albuquerque like Bugs Bunny. And I went to Chinese medicine school and became, in the state of New Mexico, a doctor of Oriental medicine. Now, graduating right away, I picked one of my faculty members to work with because he was really a great practitioner. And I also was given the opportunity to build an integrative medicine program in a hospital in Albuquerque. And I brought in acupuncture, massage, I Chi, which is warm water Tai Chi, and yoga. And alongside rehabilitation, it worked really well. But I found that most of my outpatient patients were getting sick from the place that they spent most of their time, which is their working environment.
Mm-hmm.
And because my grandfather was an entrepreneur and my father was an entrepreneur, I've always been around that entrepreneur spirit and skill set. And I realized as I was creating opportunities very quickly, my colleagues were really struggling. And so I've been coaching holistic practitioners and providers, acupuncturists, naturopaths, homeopaths, coaches, therapists for a while. And I love them because, like, you know, the community, they're amazing, great people. And they struggle with the business side. It's like they great at the healing, and the business side doesn't come easy. So they go out and they spend a lot of money on high ticket programs, and they're not cookie cutter people. It's like they need something individually. And so that's what I do. I make it simple, effective, and fun.
Well, and it's not something that we get in school. I mean, a little bit of it, at least the program that I got, we got a little bit of like one business class, but then also it's not the reason that we go to school. At least I didn't, and most of my colleagues don't go into acupuncture school thinking I want to be a business owner, or, you know, it's not what drives our passion for sure. So
I taught business in one of the top acupuncture schools in the nation, and I had over 800 students in the decade that I was there. And I would say 2 of them started school with like, I want to own a business in acupuncture, and the other 798, no, that didn't cross their mind.
And that makes that class so much more challenging to teach, because when I was in it, like, there were some people who were on their 3rd, 4th career and were like, yeah, I understand all the background. Then there are other people who are like, what is Excel? Like, yeah.
The way that I explain it, it's like teaching basic math and advanced calculus to the same class. And I can guarantee you I had students that enjoyed me and several students that just hated me. They just were like, I do not want to be here. I don't like this faculty member. And that it builds some stamina to teach people that are not in the school to learn what you have to offer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, out of curiosity, to rewind a little bit on your story, and I appreciate that, because even though I've worked with you for, I don't even know how long, more than a year at this point, I didn't know a lot of that story. So that was good to hear. How did you decide to go to acupuncture school? Because
yeah, it's a great story. Fort Collins had the industrial organizational PhD, and I was headed that direction, but I'm from Albuquerque. So I was living there at the time, And I went to one of those career fairs with a friend because they were looking to get a position. And I had already done my undergrad. And there was this Chinese man in front of this doll. And I had had acupuncture 2 years earlier. And my stories, like many of the hundreds of thousands of people that I've heard over the years tell stories about acupuncture or have stories from people that they've heard or seen stories online. And I haven't heard all the hundreds of thousands, but there's so many stories about Chinese medicine that go like this. I had something, I went to the doctor, I had invasive procedures done. Nobody could tell me what was wrong. I went to a Chinese medicine practitioner and I was helped in a few weeks.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so for mine, a non-specific urinary tract infection. So I had an NUI that was really uncomfortable. And I went to the urologist and went to another urologist, and they put me on antibiotics and they gave me invasive diagnostics that you don't want to have when you're, having that kind of issue. And nothing helped for about 2 years. I was in
Ooh,
discomfort.
wow.
Went to the acupuncturist, and 2 weeks later with herbs and acupuncture, I was really 80% better, and then all the way better. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so funny. I remember really clearly like the first week in acupuncture school, we like did this preschool orientation thing, and all the new students were like in a circle. And I don't really remember most of what we talked about, but I really remember us going around the circle and talking about like what brought us to acupuncture school. And it was that same story over and
yeah.
over and over. I got sick. They didn't know what was wrong with me. I went to acupuncture and they cured me, so I'm here.
And so the school, it's a 3-year master's program to become an entry level practitioner, and I wasn't fully ready. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I decided to go for a semester.
Okay.
And I didn't tell them that on my essay when I applied, but that was my game plan. And the school that I went to had been around for a long time and was rated one of the best faculty in the nation. And they paired you up with a resident, an intern, your very first semester. So I had clinical rotations where I didn't do anything except be in the back of the room and watch and listen.
Yeah.
And I saw that story again and again and again. I was like, wow, there's really something to this. So I got through the program, and I keep my license active, although my business is 99% business coaching, facilitation, and training, and
Yeah.
about 1% acupuncture.
Yeah. When's the last time you practiced?
3 weeks ago, there was a community member that really was in some dire need, and so I was able to help them out.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice that you have that in your back pocket. And I mean, it's so much useful knowledge. Sometimes I think about it and it's just like knowledge from so many different corners of healthcare and tradition, and I mean modern dietary recommendations and stuff like that. But it comes in really handy when somebody comes and they're like, I have this urinary tract infection and they have no idea what is going on with it. Can you help me? And
Right.
any acupuncturist is going to be like, sure, we just need to look at the pattern and I'm sure we can treat you. So it's
Well,
nice.
and for you in Austin, like sleep and stress and pain are so misguided often in the Western world,
Yeah.
and that you just have a lot of tools in that tool bag. So yes, I love keeping it active, and usually about every other year I'll take a locum practice, so that I'm like, as I'm coaching people, I remember like, oh, you got to wear all the hats.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that helps because I know a lot of the coaches out there are not practicing. They don't really have their feet on the ground, so to speak, and are able to connect in that way and say, hey, I know exactly what you're going through. So
Yeah.
that's useful for sure. But walk me through. I mean, I have a good idea of what you do to help and coach people, but why don't you walk us through what coaching with you looks like?
Mm. So I have a couple of ways that I coach with people. One is I a couple of years ago put all my past clients together that really wanted to still be engaged, and I have an internal community called the Wellness Renegades, And so that's over 100 practitioners that are supporting each other in business, because business is a learning, evolving thing, especially during COVID, right? Most brick and mortar practitioners really needed a support community to pivot. And so that's really low hanging fruit of a $25 membership that gets you a weekly call on Monday morning, plus co-working sessions, and then the community of resources. We do a challenge about every other month. So our last challenge was 5-day LinkedIn challenge, like changing your profile. I think you were in on that one, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have facilitated masterminds. And so I put 6 practitioners together so they can support each other, and they get a little bit more time with me and each other. And then we do a hybrid between energetically just declaring and making the simple movement forward, but also teaching of how do you get testimonials that are HIPAA compliant, and how do you do marketing on social media that doesn't have you want to throw up or burn out, or, how do you get your first class online, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, my VIP program is I work one-on-one with people for 6 months to really get bare bones foundation up and running. And that's a higher investment.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And I guess I've been in the mid-tier program since I've
Mm-hmm.
started. And what I love about it is that we haven't gone over the same topic yet. I mean, there's so much to dig into. I've certainly taken probably the same lesson away from it more than once, because it's just one of those things where you need to hear some of this stuff again and again, and
Yeah.
eventually it will sink in at some point, I'm sure. But the overall topic it's always different, and something to just help all of us, I think, move forward a little bit. And again, we just hear what we need to hear for that given day.
Yeah. Well, what I love about it is what makes my business a little bit more unique is there's a internal and an external. And so the externals are the nuts and bolts of your business, but the internal is the mindset, and your in the acupuncture world, it's chi cultivation, and in the mindfulness world, it's like how grounded and centered are you? And what I find is that most people don't combine the two. So we have our work life, and then we have our grounding practice or spiritual practice or centering practice, but often the two don't meet. And it makes things so much harder because there's only one you,
Right.
right? And so what I love, Chris, and I can celebrate on this interview, is there was a time you really were struggling with your daily practice,
Mm-hmm.
and then you kicked it into high gear.
Yeah. And that's been super helpful, particularly now. I mean, with just everything in flux, and I completely suspended my practice for like 6 or 7 weeks when this all started. And just I think having that as kind of my foundation helped me with my anxiety over, like, oh man, what does this mean for my practice? And of course, looking back on it, it all turned out okay, and moving forward again now. So it's just good to have that as a foundation for the inevitable ups and downs of, I mean, not just business, but life, and everybody has those. So
I wish that everyone had a daily practice just to reset, right?
yeah. Well, it's becoming more normal, and it's something that I talk to my clients about all the time, just because, I mean, sure, there are the thousands of years of tradition of doing this that people have seen the value in, but I mean, the science of it is just so mind-blowing now, and so
Undeniable. Undeniable. There's a new
yeah.
book out called Breath, I think. Is that the name of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast interview with him. It
Yeah.
was awesome.
And just like the breath is the most affordable medicine that you could take, right? And are we actually breathing? And what if we started just taking some time to breathe every day?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. The interview I listened to with him was just like, just focusing on nasal breathing, like breathing in and out of your nose. Just, I mean, it changes the physiology of all the structures, and just allows your body to get more, be able to use more of the oxygen that you're taking in, changes brain structure. I mean, and he was talking about how it affects anxiety, sleep apnea. I mean, this whole host of issues that people are really, really struggling with. And it's just how you're breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild. Um, so wanted to ask you, I'm curious, who are your favorite people to work with?
Ooh, I have in the marketing world, it's called an avatar of like your favorite people, and they tend to be it's not their first career, so they're not right out of college or high school starting a wellness practice, but they have gone and had some life experience, and they've chosen this. They like, I've done other things. This is what I want to do. Now, they generally are one of the brightest people in the room, but they are quieter. They're not like, look at me, I can do all these things, and they hate to ask for help. Often they are DIYers where they could figure anything out on their own, but they haven't really learned how to collaborate, and they don't like sales or marketing. So when they think about sales, it makes their stomach a little nauseous. Marketing is like, they haven't learned how to do it in a way that's not manipulative or tooting your own horn. And so I like to completely redesign them in how building your business is building relationships.
Hmm.
And building relationships can be a lot of fun, whether you're an extrovert or an introvert. And really, how other people are so ready to happily help you grow your business. And it comes down to finesse and being able to ask the right questions of support and finding the right alliances.
Mhm.
But those people are so fun because they're always undercharging and overgiving. Yeah. And then the last is that they're ready to invest. So if there's a question in there, Chris, about who I struggle working with, it's people that like are investing in our work together, but they need money last month. And there's just so much pressure that they're like the neck up, and they're just analytical about like, um, of course, I want people to have a return on investment, and I have a lot of past work. Most of my work supports that. And if you're just focused on making more money now, those people are really hard for me to work with because they're not slowing down enough to go deeply into strategies. They're just looking at the surface of like, I don't care how I do it. I just need money now, and money, and I understand that. I understand that game of, you know, bills are due, student loans are real, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
my favorite client is someone who is resourced, who wants to go deeper and really wants to crack this. How do I become a empowered business owner without wanting to throw up on the sales and marketing of it all?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I would think, just knowing colleagues that I have now, and friends that I went to school with, I mean, at least in the acupuncture profession, it seems like there are a lot of people who fit, what you're looking for, and could certainly use what are able to teach them, just because there's this level of empathy and wanting to help people, but also this selflessness and lack of wanting to make it all about you, that just kind of comes with the profession. So I imagine most folks are like, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That's everything you're describing me.
Well, I understand them because I've been them, and what I love is, especially with this acupuncture community or any body worker that was brick and mortar. I've been a coach for over 15 years, and in the last it's 4 years now, my business has been 100% online.
Mm.
And so I understand the online domain and the online space. And I think that healers really need to start thinking about hybrid models of part of your business is protected online, mainly because COVID has taught us how vulnerable business can be.
Mm.
And when you're have a wing of your business that's online, that gives you global access to patients and clients rather than just local. And people need your services, even if it means that you have just been trained to only do things face to face. You can learn how to do things online and really help people, because there's just so much bad healthcare knowledge, of bad advice, people doing things like the diet industry is probably now $1 trillion industry, and most diets really have minimal results, and many of them have negative results that come with side effects.
Right.
So there's just a huge opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that I'm certainly identifying as a need for my business too, with your help, of course.
Oh yeah, we'll give you a sneak peek, people. Keep your eyes out for Chris, because he's going to have some online services coming this fall.
It's coming.
Yeah,
Yeah. In development right now, but
right.
I'm just glad that, at least from a mindset perspective, I'm on board with it, just because it's so necessary, and there's such a big opportunity there to be able to help people. So, and that's a pretty good segue into the next question that I have for you. So you're already, like you said, all online, and with everything happening with COVID, that's a fantastic place to be. What do you have coming up in terms of your business? What's on the horizon? Are you making any changes, or is it just like, steady
Well,
on this path?
personally, I'm making some big changes. I have 4 kids. I co-parent the older two, and the younger two. My wife and I are moving out of Portland. We're in Portland, Oregon. I've been here for 2 decades, and we're moving rural into Eastern Oregon, into what are known as the Swiss Alps of Oregon. It's Joseph, Oregon. And so I'm super excited, because it is a big change for my family to go from major city life to urban life, and to be out there in nature and the wild. Because every time I take a hike, I'm like, oh, I want to do this way more often. And now I'll get to do it way more often.
Right.
So on the personal front, there's some big moves happening in September. On the professional front, there's some moves as well. I just launched a podcast. The first one just went live. It's really that intersection between entrepreneurship and wellness. So anybody that has a business that wants people to live healthier lives. And so the first podcast is Donna Powers, who owns Powers of Homeopathy, and has a commitment to get a homeopathic kit in every home.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's some other people coming down the pipeline. Maisie Hill is out of the UK, and her specialty is menstrual cycles. And she'll be next month. We already have it in the can. That'll get launched. But you can find that on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Wellness Renegades.
Nice.
So that's that. And then I have a new facilitated mastermind that's going to have openings in October. And that's 6 people meeting twice a month to really move the needle on their business and their finances. And Chris, you're in one of those groups, so you know what it's like to get that kind of support. And here's the thing about online. I would say you and another member, Dr. Kanita out of Maryland, you guys have never met face to face, but you really know how to support each other, how to get the needle moving on your business. And that's what I'm about, is how do we stop doing this alone and get people into pods and community, so that we have that support and accountability to not only pick each other up when we fall down, but to celebrate.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, the support of each other, but then also, I mean, it sounds, for me at least, seeing what Kanita is doing and just being like, oh, she's killing it. I want to do that. So it's like it gets the competitive spirit going in me too, but it's competition where she's also like, yeah, come on, I'll show you exactly how to do it.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I love about leading facilitated masterminds, is it's a hive mind. So there may be skill sets that I don't have that another member has, and everyone shares resources. And it's a beautiful thing to watch people lift each other up.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Okay, last question for you.
All right.
So, I mean, you're having conversations with folks in the wellness space all day long with entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Is there 1 or 2 tips where you're just like, nearly every person I'm like saying this same stuff to, just I'd rather be able to say it one time and just like hit record. Is there anything like that that you can share?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many little nuggets, but the biggest one that I see again and again is people feel like um, if they get the right website and they pay money on SEO and pay money in Facebook ads, that it'll just turn on.
Mm,
And systems are really important to have in place, but it's about building relationships. So um, the biggest one I would say is every wellness provider needs a newsletter.
mm,
And every time I meet a wellness provider, they're like, people don't read that, or why do I do that? Or I started one and the last one was a year ago. I get that a lot.
mm,
And if you're regular and you're consistent and you have a message, people will begin to realize and know that about you. So that's the first one, is be simple, consistent, and regular with your message,
mm,
and allow relationships to build over time as opposed to expand like likes and Facebook numbers. Go small and deep,
mm,
because if you go deeply with those 100 people and they know you, like you, trust you, they're going to refer a ton of people to you
mm,
rather than go surface level with 3,000, right? Uh, the final one I'll say is video's coming. It's been coming. It's not going away. And healers hate to get testimonials. I don't know why, but all the time in the treatment space or in that room or even online, people are like, thank you so much. You helped me so much. And normally our response is like, you're welcome. And it gets, that whole conversation gets isolated rather than visible, where getting video testimonials from your patients and your clients really does so much to take the pressure off of you just saying, I'd like to say I'm great, I'm really struggling, but I hope you come see me. And someone else is like, oh my God, Chris helped me. I wasn't sleeping. I was in total pain. I couldn't believe the results that I got. And that makes a huge difference.
yeah, super powerful for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you. Those are I've heard them. I've heard you say them before, but like I said, it's good to just keep them being repeated, because I think I take something in new every time. So that'll do it. Thank you again for taking the time to chat with me. And
Great. I have one more thing. Can I
yeah,
share? I have something not on my site I've been doing that I really love, and that's with wellness providers or healers. You've never had coaching or you're skeptical because you got burned. And if you're wanting a little bit of time just to experience me and my services, I have a back end page that's not live on my website called Jason Stein. It's JASONSTEIN.com/chocolate.
oh,
And what I'll do is I'll spend 30 minutes with you and your business for your favorite chocolate.
what a deal!
For both of us.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot about that you're doing that. It's such a good idea. I love it.
It's fun. And you can always find me at Jason Stein, um, or again, Wellness Renegades over on iTunes.
Cool. Well, thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
All right. Bye.